Hey there and welcome. Thank you. My name's Anthony Condoris and I'm client relations person at Octane. It's with pleasure that I'm going to share with you some of the most interesting salient points about Octane Red and Blue. I'm going to begin first of all just explaining why you would even want to use it, like what are the cases for this. There are a couple of interesting reasons for it, and the first one that I would like you to consider is that you have just gone live. Okay, that means that you have a new TM1 instance in your organization. Today is the day that you've gone live, and while we or another organization might have done a top job helping you to migrate from perspectives to the cloud, or maybe you're going from Excel spreadsheets to TM1, whichever it might be, you've now gone live, and your users in your organization, while they may be very happy with what you've built, they're going to need new things built. And so this is a great reason for opting for Octane Red or Blue. Another reason is because perhaps your developer has left. They're not very happy. And we've found that TM1 developers who are not fully utilized, that means that your organization cannot utilize one full-time dedicated resource. Quite often we've found that these people do not like to do admin. They don't want to do Excel spreadsheets. They want to do TM1. And if they're not doing that, they don't really want to work in your organization. Perfect opportunity to look at Octane Red or Blue. It's going to be far cheaper, so definitely look out for that instance. And the third one I'm going to note is mysteriously they are happy. Perhaps there is a career path for them in your organization, and what you're looking for is an extension. Okay, so during those peak periods when you get very, very busy, that end of financial year end or whatever it might be, and you just need an extension of the team just to help you over the next couple of months, Octane Red or Blue will be perfect for that also. All right, so we've talked a little bit about why you'd want to use it. Now what I'm going to explain to you is some of the things that I love about it. And I have been a part of the DNA, the manufacture, the inception of this awesome product. And so I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about some of the things that I really like about it. And the first one that I'm going to begin with is definitely one of my favorites, is there is no separation between dev and support. And if you've ever used any kind of financial applications before and you've worked with support teams, one of the things that you probably really hate is when you get a different price for development and a different price for support, and you've got to talk to a different person over there and this, and it's like you just don't care, right? Because at the end of the day, you just want your queue built, you want your report recreated, and you don't care whether it's called development or support. You just want it done, and that's exactly what we think. We completely agree with you. There is just one price every month. And for that reason, what happens is that you won't experience these irregularities from month to month on your plans. The price of the plan will remain constant over the period of those months. One of the other cool things that we introduced is rolling forward of unused hours. Okay, how about those months where it's actually not very busy, and you don't really want to pay for months where, well, nothing really happens. Well, no problem. You can roll forward unused hours for up to 1 month. Okay, and that's going to do the same thing here. It's just going to prevent your costs from going up and down, because not only can you roll forward the unused hours, but if you have used more hours that month, you simply start the next month with fewer hours, achieving therefore the same equilibrium in your pricing. If you want to understand this concept just a little bit further, run over to our website and have a look at the TM1 development page. And down here, there's a lovely table which explains this in great detail about how that will work from month to month. But just so that you can sort of understand it a little bit better, perhaps what I'll do is I'll just demonstrate it here for you. So let's just say you've gone on to Octane Blue. Great decision. Gives you 40 hours. Now, what might have happened is the first month, month 1, you might have only used 30 hours. So that means in month 2, your opening balance will be the 40 plus the 10, which will give you a starting position of 50 hours. You might have gone something different, perhaps, and this is quite common the first 1 to 2 months, you will use more than you expected. So let's just say you used 45 instead. Because you used 45, because you used 45 here, let's get rid of that, it's all the same starting position. 45 hours, you now have an opening of 40 less 5, so it's 35 hours. So in both situations, debits and credits have been rolled forward. Now I'm just going to start with another fresh board, and I'm going to explain a little bit about how to get started with us. So first of all, one of the interesting things about our product is there's no onboarding. You just start. So for example, let's just say that you would like to kick off on May 1st. That's the date you would like to begin. That's fine. And what will happen is that let's just say we put in May, we put in June here, and then let's just drop in July over here. Okay, and let's say we just started here. You begin ticketing immediately the first day that we begin. So let's just say that task A, when ticketed, takes us 1 hour to do, which is 60 minutes. So let's say that's 60 minutes. And what will happen is we expect that in June, task A will take us 30 minutes, and then perhaps the same task A in July may not even exist. And how is that so? Well, there's two things going on. First of all, we are creating recurring tickets. So over time, we study the tickets that users create, and so we anticipate they'll create something, and so we will create this for them in advance so that they don't have to bother with it. We could also be automating, okay? There's a lot of automation that we can introduce where actually there's no more human behavior. So perhaps in the situation here, task A was eventually automated. And the last one, the one you're really going to love, is the preventative maintenance, okay? And in fact, on that note, let's talk a little bit about preventative maintenance, because this is where we take a lot of responsibility in TM1 to make sure that it's running lean, running clean, and running smart. All right, so let's take a look now at preventative maintenance. The first thing you need to understand is, and about 9 out of 10 customers don't have a ticketing system. So if you don't have one, we're going to introduce a ticketing engine. So instead of sending email, we'll set up a ticketing app, and the users can use this. That means that we can now track the number of hours we have every month. We can track other really important KPIs, like is the volume of tickets reducing? So earlier we talked about May, June, and July. Well, a really interesting scenario that happened with MR was they started with something like 200 tickets when they got started with us. And then over time, we were able to, every 3 months, slash that number by about 20%. So they started with actually about 3 units of Octane Blue. And by the time that we got sort of 6 months into the engagement, it's dropped to about 1.5, okay? Because one of our KPIs, and that's what we're looking at here, that's why the ticketing app is really, really useful, it's because one of the KPIs is number of tickets. We want the volume of tickets, to say it's there, we want it to drop. So the volume, if this is the volume here, we want that to look like that, okay? We want the volume to drop month from month to month. And we can do that for the reasons that we talked about earlier, but this ticketing application gives us the ability to read that to see how well we're on track. Now, once this ticketing app is set up, we're going to give the finance officer a chance to become the board leader. So they're usually the finance person will become the person who decides the priority of the tickets, and they are in essential the owner. The users can now, so user A and user B, and we've got to say user C over here as well, they begin not emailing, but ticketing these, and they're coming in, and as you can see, the finance person can now set the priority for each of those tickets. Now, this is important because it comes back to now this concept of preventative maintenance, where we are taking responsibility for how well your TM1 is running. Let's say for a moment you have opted in for the 40 hours, which is Octane Blue. Let's imagine for a moment getting towards the end of the first month and we have 10 hours left. An Octanite, that's one of us, will ticket to themselves preventative maintenance. They've discovered something in the system, a bug, issues that if eradicated will give return on investment to make running TM1 easier in consecutive months. And now the finance person has the opportunity to do one of two things, okay? They can use those 10 hours to either roll them forward. So if we decide to roll forward, maybe they've got a good reason for that. Perhaps those rolled forward hours can be used in a future ticket, which got coming in the next month, or they can go, yes, proceed and carry out that ticket D because that's really good return on investment for us and I can see why you want to fix it. Either way, we're taking responsibility to drive down the number of tickets that are being generated month on month. Okay, so I hope you're still with me and you understand that concept. Let me explain or name one limitation that I think is worthy. And so what I want to do is I want to look at user C for a moment. Okay, now you might remember back over here in this example, user C is way over there. Goodness, it's a long way away. So user C has ticketed something. And, okay, so we're going to blow up this ticket now. User C and have a look at it. And let's assume for a moment that this is development that they need done. And what I would like to point out is a limitation, and that is going to be equal to or greater than 16 hours. I do not recommend you put it through Octane Red or Blue. You've probably figured out why that's a good reason. And you've got some thoughts on that, I imagine. But here are mine. First of all, for something greater than that, you really need a project manager. You're going to need costings, and you're going to need a timeline. Okay, you're going to need all of those, because if you put it through Octane Red or Blue, if you don't have these, it will probably cost you more than if you took it outside of Octane Red or Blue and said, hey, we've got a project we'd like to do separately. Could you let us know how much that's going to cost? Now, that said, our people, of course, will warn you, but if you say proceed, well, we'll do just that. We will build whatever it is that you've ticketed, and it will be done under the plan. What you ought to understand, though, is let's just say you began with 40 hours under Octane Blue, and now you used 70 hours that month. Your opening balance the following month, of course, will be 10 hours, okay, because you've rolled forward a deficit of 30. If that occurs, if you're consistently getting down towards 10 hours as your opening balance, we're going to write to you and just talk to you about this, because what we don't want to happen is we don't want you to fall or approach zero, because if you fall below zero, what happens is you're charged at a rate of $140 per hour, and we don't want you to experience that. So what we'll do instead is, because we're conscientious and we want to keep you happy, we'll write to you and say, listen, perhaps you're on 1 unit. Okay, we're going to ask you to maybe go to 2 units next month. Okay, and that way you won't be approaching zero. And equally, you can switch between plans. So if you want to switch between blue, you want to ratchet down to red, you can do that as well. You can do either of these, and you can do it with just 7 days notice, and you do not need to sign a new plan. You just need to put it in writing that you're ratcheting up or down, let us know what's going on, and within 7 days it will take effect. So I hope you love this product as much as I do, and if it's the case, please let's talk further about it, and thank you. Bye-bye.